So Klefki is a really supportive Pokemon. It has 80 attack and 80 special attack, but it's not going to be a big damage dealer. With 75 speed, which is decent, but with its ability that makes the 75 speed way better. But it has 57 health, 91 defense, and 87 special defense, which it could be better, but it has good defense and special defense with decent health. But it has the ability Prankster and Magician. Almost 99% of the time, almost 100% of the time you see Klefki, it's going to be Prankster, because that Prankster is a really good ability. But Dark types are immune, so you have to watch out for that. But pretty much what it means is all status moves have priority 1, so you'll go first at the beginning of the turn. If no one else is using priority, you go first. Magician, if they don't have an item. The thing about Magician that sucks is you have to get hit. Well, no, I guess Magician, not Magician, that's a different one. But Magician, you hit them, you take their item pretty much. But Prankster, 9 times out of 10. Almost 10 times out of 10. But Klefki is a Steel Fairy, which is a really good typing. Which, I did not mean to do that, but oh well. It's weak to ground and fire, and that's it. And you have a ton of resistance as immunities. Great typing. You're immune to poison and dragon, but you resist normal ice, flying, dark, rock, fairy, grass, and psychic, and you have a 4 times resistance to bug. So it's really good. Klefki is immune to a lot of things, but one way to use Klefki is light clay and just screen setter. And this could either be a doubles Klefki. This is a really good doubles Klefki. I would say run this in doubles. But Prankster, light screen, reflect, whatever you think if they're a physical attacker, reflect. If they're a special attacker, light screen. And the light clay makes it so both of these last 8 turns. And you could do light screen and then reflect the next turn just in case, or whatever your ally needs to survive the turn. And max health, max special defense with a defensive nature to balance it out the best you can, because you're going to take half damage. Well, you'll take a third reduced damage because it'll be doubles, but same, whatever. Dazzling Gleam for the dual hitting. Dazzling Gleam, you can hit both opponents, which is really good. And Flash Cannon for stab. You can replace Flash Cannon with Steel Beam if you just want that massive hit on something before you... Like, if you expect to get KO'd and you just want to get a massive hit off Steel Beam. You can also run Thunder Wave if you want to do things like that. Ignore the Toxic. You can't run Toxic unless you transfer it. But Thunder Wave if you want to slow them down to support your ally. But, like, Klefki is really supportive. And you can make your allies have a lot of hits with this. But another way, if you want to run Klefki in a more... This is a singles Klefki. If you want to run in a more quote-unquote offensive way, pretty much Calm Mind. It sucks. Calm Mind, Iron Defense, Stored Power. Stored Power does plus 20 for each stat boost. So if you bring Klefki on a physical attacker, also this is pretty much the best IV spread for Klefki because you get balanced defenses and you need the max health. Unless you're running just a full defensive tank or full defense or a special defense Klefki, I would say run this most of the time, but even with this one, Iron Defense, Calm Mind, you come in on a physical attacker. It'd be better to set up on a physical attacker. But you come in, you Iron Defense, you take that hit. Okay, then you Iron Defense again, leftovers kicks in. And you'll have, because you'll get them, because you have Prankster, you'll get this stat boost before they attack, which is really good. And then Stored Power will do more and more damage, because both of these raise it by 2. So each time you use one of these moves, Stored Power gets an extra 40 base power. So if you use either of these twice, plus Calm Mind raises your special attack, which is really good. It sucks Klefki doesn't learn Amnesia. Amnesia would be really good to be a straight tank. And then you can run Dazzling Gleam in this last spot. You can run Rest in that last spot. It just depends. You can't be Toxic because you're Steel, which is really good, unless it's a Lazzle, but Lazzle will most likely use Fairy, or most likely use Fire. But you can run Rest in that last spot. It depends if you want the damage and Dazzling Gleam or you want the rest for the healing. The reason why I have Dazzling Gleam here though is because they switch in a dark type, you're shut down. And I would say bring it in on a physical attacker, set up really quickly. Or you could also replace leftovers with Citrus Berry, something like that. But you run into the risk. This would be really good if you run Rest too on a physical attacker, if you know they don't have a dark type. So you know Stored Power will hit, because Stored Power will get up there, I think to 260 is its max, but you got to be careful about that. You could also run. This is actually I saw this on a Mimikyu once. It was I just realized Switcheroo and Trick are the same move. But I've seen this on a Mimikyu where it had Lagging Tail Trick, which is really Lagging Tail Trick with Prankster is actually really good because Lagging Tail makes it so you move last in the priority bracket. But since you have Prankster, you have a +1. So if anybody else has +1, they'll outspeed you, but that's whatever. But if nobody else has Prankster or no one else has priority, you'll go first. Lagging Tail won't matter. You can switch over the Lagging Tail to where whoever you give it to will go dead last every time. So you put that on a sweeper on a really frail Pokemon, especially in doubles. That's really good. Thunder Wave just for more speed manipulation, or just so they can get paralyzed. For the other one that you don't Lagging Tail, also you can with Switcheroo take away an item like a Focus Sash or something like that, and then Dazzling Gleam and Flash Cannon, whatever you want these last moves. I just like the dual hitting of Dazzling Gleam and the stab of Flash Cannon. But you can also run something like Foul Play. If you see a really hard hitter that's weak to dark, Foul Play is good because it uses their attack stat. Psyshock, Psychic. Again, Steel Beam if you want that last ditch effort. You could also run, if you want on this one, you could run Substitute. Actually, if you know they're going to try to status you or whatever, Substitute. Or if you know a big hit's coming, you can Substitute to just pretty much take the hits. I wouldn't really recommend, or you could run like Safeguard or something like that to protect you could run another support move to protect your ally in that last spot. But I would rather have, I think it's good to have another move other than Dazzling Gleam. But another, you could also run, again, I would run the same, whatever, the same setup as this on this Klefki. But if you need a terrain setter, Misty Terrain Extender, so that way it's 8 turns, and Misty Terrain Klefki. Also with the new moves, the move tutor moves, I forgot what the fairy one's called, but all of them get an extra effect when they're on their terrain. Like Grassy Slide does, I think it gives you a +1 when you're on grass terrain. I forgot what the psychic or the fairy one does, but you can end up using the fairy terrain or Misty Terrain, Prankster, and then get the effect from having the terrain with your ally, which is really good. Prankster Attract, really good, especially if you attract both. Safeguard, if you think status is coming away, Burn, Paralysis, Toxic, whatever. You see something coming, Safeguard's really good to protect you. And then Dazzling Gleam. This is a more just terrain support one. But again, Dazzling Gleam, the double damage. I don't think Mimikyu or Klefki learns the new move though. Yeah, I don't think Klefki learns it. But pretty good. You'd also learn Sunny Day and Rain Dance if you need those, especially Rain Dance if you need it at the beginning of the turn to get a Thunder off or whatever. That'd be really good. And then I would run the Damp Rock if you're running a Rain Dance, or I think it's the Heat Rock if you're running Sunny Day. It's really good. Also Swagger. Klefki also learn Swagger, especially on a special attacker. Swagger is really good, or if you want to take the risk on a physical attacker, it's really good. And Klefki also learns some of the other moves Klefki learns. If you run a physical one, Play Rough. But since it's so supportive, the damage doesn't really matter that much. And it also doesn't learn any. It doesn't learn very moving. Klefki learns very little moves. One, physically, it learns very little physical moves, but it doesn't learn many moves in general that are good. So that's one thing about Klefki. Fairy Lock, you can make a case for Fairy Lock 2 in doubles, especially if you know Klefki's about to get KO'd. And you kind of want to trap the opponent in so they can't switch or something like that. So Fairy Lock, because you activate Fairy Lock and then the turn after they can't switch. So it pretty much uses Fairy Lock, and whoever's on the field has to say that for a turn. So you can kind of trap an opponent in a way. But like if you use Fairy Lock and they use U-turn, they'll still switch out that turn. They just can't switch out next turn. But I don't think Magic Coat, I wouldn't really run. Magic Coat, I wouldn't really use Magic Coat. Same with Crafty Shield. Crafty Shield is literally just a worse safeguard. Like, especially with the Prankster, it's literally just a worse safeguard. You could Chesto Resto you could rest, recycle, and then the Chesto Berry. This one, yeah, that one. But I don't know what your last two moves would be. Iron Defense. You could do something like this, Iron Defense, and then Stored Power. but you run the risk of a special attacker coming in or a dark type coming in, and then you're just in trouble at that point. That's one thing you can do, Chester. It learns Recycle, which is really good. It's a good move, but it's very niche, I would say. It learns Spikes, too, if you want to set up Spikes. If you want Klefki just to set up Spikes. Because it'll get at least 2 most of the time, unless it just gets blown up by a massive earthquake or a fire move. But, actually, hopefully it learns Recycle. I actually don't know if it learns Recycle. That is not what I meant to do. Let's see, does it learn Recycle? Because I know Pokemon Children has... Yeah, it does learn Recycle. Okay, it learns Recycle, which is really good. But let's see what other moves. Like, I don't think it doesn't learn very... Like, this is its entire moveset, which is not great. Metal Sound, too, if you want to lower their special defense. Torment, I think it... Does it learn Taunt? Torment could be good if you know they're sashed or something. I don't know, Torment's really... Not that... it sucks it doesn't learn Taunt. Prankster Taunt's really good. But you could also Magnet Rise, something like that. Oh, wow. Actually, moves marked with the ashes can be chained, must be trained bred. Oh, wow. So it can't learn Switcheroo. Never mind. Forget this. Okay, so you can't Switcheroo. Wow, that sucks. Does it really not learn Switcheroo? So you can't Switcheroo Lagging Tail, which does suck, I'll admit. Huh, that sucks. I guess because... I don't know, they're in the game. I don't know. Just can't learn it, which kind of sucks because that gets rid of this. So ignore this one. Ignore that one. You can't really do that, but anyways, that's Klefki. I hope you enjoyed.